Yeah, just a short notice. First of all, there was like this whole message by Nick Silva, one of the main developers of PlanetSide 2, and he said, "Yeah, well, sorry guys, we did not make the patch, so they were actually planning on fixing most of the bugs that came together with IX 11, or they did not make the patch in time for the weekend, and they don't work in the weekends over there in San Diego, so it was not really safe to push the patch to live." So he said more like, "Okay, I'm sorry for this, but," and he was throwing a bone to us, like, "Well, we are thinking about doing server upgrades," and I think that he means like hardware upgrades, new server blades, especially the servers in Europe, because, well, the Emerald server actually runs fine, if you ask me. I've been playing there a lot lately, no issues at all. But if I'm playing on Miller or Cobalt, not always the best. And
Yeah.
I've also heard some complaints about Connery. I don't really know about how it's over there, and I don't know about Soltech. But at least new servers for Europe soon.
What server do you normally play on?
I play on Miller myself.
Okay. I
So
play on
especially,
Emerald, and I haven't found anything wrong with it, except with big patches, really. So.
It seems to be okay for now, except for everybody else with the same problems, having both spawn beacon issues and everything.
yeah, the thing is a bit with I don't know if the hit registration is really works together with like the server latency and stuff, but sometimes it feels very off, especially on Miller.
It's actually like a server by server case basis right now.
Really?
For on Connery, those guys are having a lot of issues with hit reg. But on Emerald, it's like, for as far as I've seen so far, it's been fine. So,
Huh. I guess it has to be server per server.
Also, apparently there was like this problem that the servers, if they had like multiple continents, they did not scale well or something like that. So right now, each continent has like its own server blade, I think, if it's correct. So also, if there are multiple continents open, it should work better. So
is that the
sounds all promising.
That's what they're going to do, or it works that way right now?
I think that's how it's going to work in the future.
Okay, cool. I mean, that'd be good.
yeah, we'll see how it goes of Priority 1 and Priority 2 spawn system. Still interested to see how that's exactly supposed to play out. I know you guys have gotten information on that. I've tried it anyway on test server.
I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's from what we've seen so far, like, it's supposed to have you, like, have better fights overall by having spawns not take as long. So if I put the patch notes here, that's something like, it's like Priority 1 spawns and Priority 2 are semi-separate, and they're two different forms. So Priority 1 says you can spawn into enemy adjacent regions within less than 24 players instead of 12 or less, which is,
Okay.
a good feature to start with. And then you can spawn into casual enemy regions with less than 24 players. So this allows players to spawn into offensive regions across the map to spin up new fights, which overall sounds like, a decent idea.
I think the most interesting part of it is that the spawn beacons will be part of Priority 2. So every spawn beacon in the future will have a 15-second delay, which is, I think, fine. That does mean that how do I say this? That spawn beacon spam won't be that much, but still, it's a quick and easy way to get back into battle.
Yeah. Spawn beacons should be.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I cut you off.
Spawn beacons should be a priority if you want to take out spawns now, I guess.
Well, that depends, right? So, like, I'm not too sure 15 seconds is, like, exactly where it should be. So, like, you guys remember a couple of weeks ago when we had those instant spawn beacon fights on live, like, for all servers, were, like, insane. But, like, I think that's, like, probably where it should be, just because you're letting new players, veterans included, like, be able to get back to the fight quicker, and sometimes that just means more than trying to, like, bring spawns up to fight consistently, because vehicles will wipe out other spawns quickly, especially if, like, there's a platoon out there, a squad who's, like, animated killing a fight, they'll do it, right? But with spawn beacons, if anybody can place them, and you can kind of keep a fight semi going, and then have those extra spawns come back up to sustain a fight, that, from my standpoint of, like, doing point holes for so long, it's, like, better. At least from, like, the point hole side, like, for us, it's been good when they had those changes up, just because like my outfit was able to like fight 30-70 for a continuous period of time without relying on Sundays too much. And when we pulled one up, it was just so we could come from a different angle, no more than that.
Yeah.
Instead of getting wiped continuously over and over and over again by X insert large outfit here, who's like animatic killing your fight so they can get to. Sometimes maybe that's not good for the game. It's too one-sided if one side is really dedicated killing your fight when you're trying to sustain one. So I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that.
I was playing with Salt when all the timers were wrong, and they had like a spawn beacon, a router inside a tech plant, and also the routers you could just indefinitely spawn over there, and it was just insane how easily you could defend the point once you were inside, and it felt a bit unfair, more or less. So
yeah, it depends.
I'm even glad they changed the router.
It depends too. Like it also depends on the group you play with. Salt, more times than not, I would say it would be like more of a talented group to take bases and take points. They're not like you can't just like on at least on Emerald, you can't like just throw them off a point with like the same amount of people. So if you're at a 50-50 fight with those guys, more times than not, it's gonna be really frustrating if you're like the one on defense against them to actually wipe them out. So you're gonna have to throw a little bit more people at them. It really depends on like the skill level of the group. It's the same with my outfit and like others that of similar skill level. So it really depends. I don't know if there's a better solution for that other than cutting down spawn timers, but again, if both sides can spawn at the same time, just as good, then is that overall better for the server and better for new players because they can get back to the fight so quickly versus trudging mile upon mile from the spawn room to get inside the tech.
Yeah, it's definitely a balancing act, I think.
Yeah,
but I think it's good that we try it out like on live. That's fine, and I think in the end we'll come to a nice middle ground where we think this is fine. This is both. It won't be too much, but it also will not remove the need for Sunderers and things like that.
Yeah.
In the end, I hope.
Because Sunderers, anybody can spawn at them. Well, sometimes now. Before it was anybody could spawn at them from quite a distance away. Now spawn beacons are just for the squad, right? So
correct.
We'll still need Sunderers quite a bit.
Yeah, and the nice thing is with like the new patches that are coming out, although they're limiting the spawn beacons to 15 seconds, they're also going to allow people to spawn in squad sunnies anywhere around the map, which is like a good like compromise to having those 15 seconds. So even like an outfit like mine relies on like doing spawn beacons a lot. If we can like instantly spawn like let's say a priority 3 base, right, where you can spawn anywhere like around the map, then we can like get a Sunday from X base and drive it to the next base we're attacking, even if it's on the other side. If you can do that and make Sundays kind of like galaxies, then I would think that's good compromise. But we have to see how it works out live yet, though. I have to like obviously try it myself first, and then with my outfit, and then see how other outfits do it. But it does sound like it's something that could work out.
Wasn't there like a bug with the galaxies? Because I thought I tried to spawn inside one, but because it was in the same hex as where I died, I could not spawn in or something like that. Or has it been fixed already?
Was it in enemy territory?
I think so.
If it's in enemy territory, generally you can't spawn inside a galaxy, a friendly galaxy. Either if your hex is A, being attacked, or B, you're in enemy territory, you can't spawn any.
I can't remember anymore.
Okay. Well, it may have just been it was in enemy territory or something.
Yeah. Or maybe just been capped, something like that.
Yeah.
Change things so often, people go or forget half the time.
Yes.
For the spawn beacons, what was the least amount of time you had to wait for spawn beacons before?
Before the infinite spawn beacon?
Yeah.
About, I think it was like 15 to 20 seconds as well. Not a little bit more than that, 20 30.
What about other people? They're probably going to refund certs, I imagine, right?
For what?
For upgrading your spawn beacon? Because if they're reducing the amount of time you have to wait.
Oh, good question.
I imagine
actually kind of about the spawn beacon upgrade. I made like this NSO character, and I thought the spawn beacons were bugged because if you start an NSO character, you don't have access to spawn beacons by default, so you need to buy it first. I was like, I've never seen the system before.
Have
So-
you never had to buy spawn beacons before?
No, no.
Oh.
From now on, at least for new players, you start with a NC or TR or VS character with a base level spawn beacon.
I did not
I
know
didn't
that.
even know there was squad upgrades or squad
Yeah,
join
I never
upgrades.
put a cert into that, but now I have access to them just as anybody else does.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember I had to buy mine, but that was quite a while ago.
Back in the day. Did you ever get a cert refund for that? I didn't think so.
I don't
right?
think so. Oh well. Smarlog had to buy his too. Roxxly leaving. What could that mean? And maybe we'll have a better community manager.
Well, was Roxxly that bad in your opinion?
She wasn't. In
No,
my
she-
opinion, I don't
no.
think she was bad at all.
No.
I mean, the thing is, she also did EverQuest and DC Universe, and I mean, PlanetSide was maybe her main game, I think.
Maybe.
No one
Right.
really knows exactly how many games she touched upon, other than that PlanetSide was like one of the ones that obviously we all know she does PlanetSide, but outside of like what she actually did, no one really knew too much outside of the those novels they made or the fan fiction for the game. Most of that was Roxley's doing.
Wait, she
So-
wrote like lore and stuff as
Yeah,
well.
she wrote lore. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
so
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
whether or not her leaving's a bad sign or anything, though, I don't think from like the community manager standpoint that it's a big effect. Now, if it was like something like a Rao or Drew, then we'd probably be in some deep trouble. But
Yeah. I don't think Roxxly leaving is going to make a huge effect either.
yeah,
I mean, she's been around for a while, so I wouldn't be surprised if she just wanted to explore other options.
Yeah. Apparently she's moving on to something else now. From her tweet, she's going to like a different company.
yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not company offer me more money to go find a new job opportunity.
My question more or less is it because she's fired because there is less financial space for PlanetSide or for community managers in general, or is it because she just wanted to leave? Because if she chose to leave, then there should be space, like financial space, for somebody else coming in from outside Daybreak Games, and otherwise we need to think about giving some official tasks to, like you say, Rel or Drew, or maybe even Paul.
I don't think we can do anything but conjecture. We don't have
Yeah.
access to the background.
No.
I suppose what happens will kind of be telling, but
Well, from what I heard, I haven't heard like anything other than she writes the lore. I don't know what else she does or did.
Well, she does the tweets, I think. For all the
all
games.
of them?
Yeah,
Managing the community, like
yeah, she did have a presence on the
Forums,
official
yeah.
forums.
yep.
Okay. I
About
don't-
about the tweets, by the way, just a small thing, but I was reading the tweets and I saw like this little black box, and that's because they're using like iPhone emojis, and I was like, oh, why?
Oh.
I don't use an iPhone, so I see like a strange little box, and I think if I was a community manager, I would have done this or this, not this.
Well. Oh well. Not much
Yeah,
we
these
can do
small
about
things.
that. Just a
No,
small...
of course. But it's good. It's a good thing. They are right now very active actually with tweeting about like community stuff as well. That's made by people. Like they made like I don't know if you've seen it. There was like a trailer, but made by somebody with all the. I'm gonna search the link. Give me a minute.
Okay. Any questions from the chat at all? Anything you guys have to say while he finds that? Shouldn't take too long. Maybe.
A question for me, by the way. Would you mind if Rel would be the next community manager?
I mean, he has
It's a great
other
question.
he has
I'd be
other
fine
things
with
that-
it. I was a big fan of his YouTube work, but I do know some people who would be less than thrilled.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
Raul's like a beloved and hated figure.
Yeah, he's really polarizing, and I
Yeah.
don't really think it's through any fault of his own.
No, I mean Higby was also polarizing as well. Like somebody in the company is always generally hated but loved at the same time.
Well,
Yeah, I agree
community
with
manager
Smarlog.
should he or she not be like in general somebody who is liked by the majority at least of the community.
Yeah, if that's like, if we're basing off that though, then that means Rel shouldn't be the community manager just
Yeah.
because of how polar. Because as many people love Rel, there's a whole bunch that literally want him to be fired. And there's been a couple posts in like the last couple months where they've literally posted, "I want this guy fired." They had to take them down. So that's like overboard.
Really?
Mhm.
That seems a little immature to me,
Yeah, well, I mean, that tells you how passionate our player base is.
but
That's for sure. A
Well,
little too passionate.
If there's one impact that Roxxly has on me for leaving, there's that she was pretty much the only presence on the official forums. And I mean, except for really special occasions, nobody else in the dev team seems to even look at there, let alone post there.
I mean, the
Yeah, I don't
majority
know
of
if the forums are used that much though compared to like Reddit side, right?
yeah,
So,
that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, it's true, but still, I mean, you've got the official forums. There are a lot of people who don't use Reddit, like me. So
Why don't you
pretty
use
small
Reddit?
staff. So, you know, surprised they're spread thin.
I mean, the only time I ever go to the forums is just to see the patch notes. That's about it.
I actually like to see the salt flow over there, all the hate comments. I like to see that.
I think Reddit might be better for that. More
Oh yeah,
dramatic
I
on
was
that.
looking at Reddit. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't ever go to the forums now.
Do they post their? I don't think they post patch notes to Reddit. So, do they? Or somebody's got to.
Rel does it pretty often actually.
Okay. I just click on the patch notes in the launcher and then it brings me to the forum. So
Wait, are there patch notes in the launcher even?
yeah,
And I'm
yeah, they'll put a link in the launcher that'll bring you to the forums
okay.
for the particular post.
today I read a 3-year-old post about how much power near constant complaints about your work can have on you as a person, even outside of said work. Yeah, I can agree with that. Like the amount of crap Rel has to put up with sometimes probably kind of sucks for him. But I mean, it's got to be somebody.
Somebody actually commented, well, Faber, it should be Drew as community manager. But I was like, yeah, Drew's doing like real developer work. Does she like really have time to like do official community manager tasks?
Yeah, I would think they probably have to bring in somebody new or hire some. I think most of their staff's used pretty efficiently for the most part, so making them double down means probably paying them an extra buck or two to do that work too.
Yeah.
Oh, this video.
Yeah, it's a very well made video by Survivable Gaming, and he I don't know, he's not really active, but he made like really good how do you call it? Cinematics.
Yeah, May 3rd, 2019, so it's pretty new. I haven't actually watched all the way through this, so.
No, me neither, but just in general, the first few shots already are amazing to see.
Yeah, I agree. It looked really cool.
Talking about nice videos, actually, I saw the I think I saw the majority of Roku's last video, like the basics for planetside.
Yeah, that
really
was
informative
good.
for new players, really.
Yeah. Though
Well,
he didn't mention.
just a question to you, Rogue. Didn't that take like a lot of time to make? Like really a lot?
Oh, which again? I'm sorry, I was watching the video.
Oh, I'm sorry. The basics to planetside 2 video you made.
Oh, yeah, and unfortunately I was even rushed because I was expecting to have more time to do it. So, but it did take me a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, the video itself is already like half an hour long.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do more basics of stuff like vehicle base building, or?
Yeah, I can't. I really don't have the required knowledge of it. I've never done base building, and I don't really play vehicles much.
Okay.
I mean, I'd be happy to link to anybody else who's got great tutorials on those.
Does anyone have great tutorials on base building?
This is a good question.
There might be a couple outfits out there, but we've probably never seen them or heard them where you know they exist. As far as I'm aware. That's like a really niche
It is.
play style. I don't think many people like really spend a lot of time on or like do deep endeavors on. I think you'll see more times than not public platoons be like X platoon leader says, "Hey, let's build a base right here," and then everybody's like, "What? How do I do that?" They're like, "Oh, okay, never mind. We'll just roll armor down the next base." Forget it.
Yeah.
More times than not, that's usually what we see.
Yeah,
I mean, what do you-
I just did a quick Google search. The first 3 videos that come up on construction tutorials are all 3 years old.
Of course
Yeah.
they are.
That's
Oh, well.
promising.
I mean, I don't
Well-
think construction's changed at all, or if it has, barely. Since then.
It's had a it's had a couple different changes. So like obviously the orbital strike thing was somewhere they added in between the Pain's Fire was, and then
Oh,
there's
yeah.
new cannons they put in between. I think it's one's called the oh man, I forget what it's called, but it's basically like a miniature version, like a mortar, and you kind of just get like a recon dart version that you shoot out into like the middle of the battlefield, and then it'll launch this meteor strike and destroy tanks and stuff, kind of like an orbital.
Yeah,
but much
that's the
smaller.
flail, isn't it?
Yeah, the
Yes,
flail. Yeah,
yeah.
that's what it's called. Yeah.
Man, I was racking my brain trying to think of that name.
Yeah, I mean, they've added some stuff. It's just whether or not people know more about it is the question. But, I mean,
There's
I
been
find,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
but like I find bases pretty useful depending on what you're doing. Like my group, since we do point holds, we build really simple bases. Like no walls or anything, just accordion style in the router, and then we're good to go. But I have seen a couple complex bases from builders out there. Just most of them more than our solo players.
There's also a pretty heavy cert requirement with base building,
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely.
which kind of sucks. But
Yeah, I think the minimum is about, if you want to actually be good at building bases, about 8,000 certs at the like get enough
Jeez.
structures.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh.
because if you
That
think
sounds
about it,
right.
one wall, like to get a wall is like 350 certs. To get a pain spire to protect your base from infantry players is like already another 350 certs. If you want like a pillbox, it's like 1,000 certs. By the time you start
Jeez.
adding up all the cost, and you want just like a small basic base and not even like a grandiose one, 8,000 to 10,000 certs is like the. So it's pretty expensive. It's not something a new player should be trying to even invest in.
Does the
Also-
8K cert investment also include like ant investments or?
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
that would be like that would be no ant investments. Period. That the ant
Okay.
is like completely.
Oh. I'm actually still I've like the membership boost, but I'm still struggling to get like a new character, weapons, armor upgrades, all the basic stuff. So I really think the construction thing is like late game stuff, or more like the ASP system.
Yeah, it's generally stuff you look into when you've pretty much unlocked everything else in the game.
Well, I think it's a different mode. Like, essentially what they're trying to do is just make a different mode. So you could start going into it early on, but you'd still have to, I guess, you'd still have to play it normally just to get the certs anyway. So I don't know.
Bases are like this weird niche right now where they're useful in some cases and they're completely useless in others. So
Mhm.
like if we have like 2 outfits on the same faction engage another 2 outfits on the other faction, say it's like TR and NC, and you're currently I'll give a good example. So you guys know that base on Indar Kamare, and then
Yeah.
between it like TL alloys, right? And then you know how there's that like long like mountain land bridge that you have to go down from Indar Com to TI to like where actually Indar Com to Briggs Laboratories to attack it. Basically, there's like that whole mountain range. If you can like if you build a base up there and you put a flail, and then you like surround the mountain with a whole bunch of walls, it makes it like almost impossible for a land force to push up. So in some cases, they're like really good to have there, and then in others, like if you build a base on S-Smear, like near Isotech plant in the middle of nowhere, it does nothing. So I'm not sure like where or how the devs can like implement making the system better, but right now it just feels like it doesn't really flow. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's not
Yeah,
consistent.
it really depends on the situation. And like I said before, whenever I tried building a base, the fight would just move on before I finished.
Yeah.
Most
Other
of the
times
time.
they'll just fly over you, depending on the outfit. If you're
True,
fighting
yeah.
a portal outfit, we'll just fly over you guys. We're like, okay, have your 5 or 50 dudes there, and my 10 will just fly over by, and we'll drop the base behind you, take it. And then when that happens, then your base is useless if you don't come back and defend it.
Oh, yeah.
So, gotta be some ways to
make them more useful or make them part of the battle.
Yeah, I think the number one problem construction runs into is that it's trying to work with map design that wasn't planned around it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and
Good.
it's nice that they're trying to make the maps like different so that you can, but
Right.
it's just
I think like a good starter way would be to limit bases where they can be built. So like in all the places it wouldn't make sense to build a base, just restrict it, and then force players to build them on lanes that it would have a great effect on. Or like open spaces where you have base building restricted and open them up, or like terraform mountains. I don't know, things like that.
Terraform mountains.
Like if you can terraform mountains, you know what I mean, and start like actually putting walls up there, because right now you can't stick a whole wall on a mountain. It just
Yeah.
won't let you render it, right?
like
You can do
classic
that.
Red Faction style.
Yeah, like that. You know, that would help a lot of outfits like implement base building as part of their daily routine.
That would be awesome.
I want to
But-
see more bases like what is it, Ikenem Biolab, the one that's basically just like a flat platform you can build on.
Yes,
Right. And it's
yeah.
got 4
Oh,
points below it,
yeah.
right? Yeah, like
Mhm.
back in PlanetSide 1 bases were generally like that. All the vehicles would fight on top, and then in order to take the base, you had to breach in the bottom underground where all the infantry fights happened.
Yes.
And Econom like pretty similar to that. If they made base building kind of relevant in that way, I think this game would get a lot more play, because that sounds like by scale like really epic. You got to build your defenses before the horde comes by, and then hold the base and the line down. They breach inside, then you got to fight indoors. It's pretty, exciting.
Yeah, I would like to see construction be able to have some more effect on established bases. Like we can't turn it into a walled fortress with shields everywhere, but we can form lanes for the action to go through, things like that.
To be honest, PlanetSide is not the only game that already succeeds in bringing construction to like good use, because I don't know if you guys know Battlefield 5, that also has like a few base building stuff. You can, for example, set up sandbags, but it doesn't work because people just walk around it and they just ignore it most of the time.
One tank undoes all that in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
less.
It's just like it's sandbags and ramshackle barricades. It's meant for like applying obstacles to infantry, and even they can get around them pretty easily.
Yeah.
Well, you guys mentioned something pretty interesting actually, because you said, yeah, it is not made for these maps, the construction, but Osher is also coming later this year, and can they maybe implement something that is ready for base building?
They probably could. It really depends on how they structure the continent itself. If they're gonna use like the PlanetSide 1 formula, have all the vehicle fights and air fights take place on top of the continent and infantry fights underground, as a way of saying, okay, then in order to take bases, we have to do it in 3 phases. We're gonna have to hit you from from the sky, and then hit you on the ground, and then hit you underground. That would make it like pretty easy for like alphas to really get into it and have like more coordinated responses to dealing with threats from both sides. And yeah, the base building could be really, really relevant. Oh, I'll bet you we'll see people like putting like long like China, like Great Walls of China, you know what I mean, like across like a whole base, and they're surrounding it, and they're putting flails in between certain spots and saying, "Here, you flail gunner, you're gonna nuke this side consistently over and over again," and then we'll have like great big battles from doing that. But right now, you have no idea what OSHA's gonna look like.
No.
That'd be a great idea. I actually did that.
Oh, sure.
I actually heard. I'm sorry. I heard a lot of complaints from people about underground fighting, and a lot of people are saying they don't like it. I'm fine with it, but
It depends. Like, it depends on like how they do the maps. Like, so like in Econom, the big problem with Econom right now is if you're playing offense and your vehicles take both B and C point, they're outside, right?
Mhm.
Then the defenders have to push from underground outside to those vehicles, and they'll get completely destroyed because those
Mhm.
vehicles are just gonna pick infantry off like they're. So even if you manage to kick off all the all the attackers inside your underground base, which is just the 8-point alone for Econom, you still gotta deal with those vehicles outside, and then you're not even guaranteed then, because the way like that base is structured underground is the stairs are too long. So like a lot of outfits can just push down there consistently, and you're fighting above people, and people below you have to shoot up. They're gonna have a hard time. So
the attackers have the high ground basically.
Yep. Yeah, and if the attackers always have the high ground, they're always surging in from the high ground, then underground's fight will suck for one side. Now, if they like did it differently, maybe with elevators where the attackers have to take elevators down, but don't put like 1 or 2 elevators because like a lot of problems with biolabs right now, and you guys know this. Like if you're in a biolab, right, you have to take those elevators up or the teleporter, but those are easily campable. And more times than not, a lot of outfits don't know those teleports exist, so they just take the those jump pads up anyway, and they get slaughtered. There's like a whole bunch of maxes just sitting there, just waiting for them, and they come up, they'll jump there and just get killed in midair, and you'll see them die in like the dozens every like 5 seconds. So there's a fix for it. It's just you need to make multiple spawn options, have multiple elevators come down, or lowercase stairs, or if it's gonna be underground, like instead of like a long ass staircase, make a really short one that doesn't involve having you going down the whole tunnel instead, and having multiple options of that. I think could help balance it out a bit. But again, they have to make sure they fix a lot of the design choices they made. Can't have points outside and inside. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, there's also that one base in Amarish that's got like a fairly complex underground cave system. That kind of turns problematic too because there's only a couple ways into there.
True. There's like two entrances, 3 entrances.
Yep, which is not enough anymore. It's
Yeah, I
easily
mean,
feasible if you have like 7 or 8 or 9 entrances.
yeah, and they're all long narrow tunnels. So all you got to do is like point a engineer turret at it, and you pretty much got it covered.
Yep. Not sure what the planetside devs are thinking when they made these maps.
Well, they weren't thinking base building for sure.
That's for sure.
I don't know. I think it would take a lot of work, but I think they do need to do just overhauls of each of the maps at this point if they want base building to be the main mechanic of the game. But again,
it will never be a main mechanic. I think it'll always be a thing aside. But
yeah, you're probably right.
There's like no importance at all next to routers and orbital strikes, and even orbital strikes are not necessary.
That's true.
They more often than not destroy fights. So.
All right. So another thing that we have to talk about is the infiltrator bug, like the cloaking. I'm assuming.
Yeah. Isn't
fixed on lower settings on the PTS yet, which kind of sucks.
It's actually problematic because, especially for the people that like to play potato mode, they right now have way too many things to look at. The game is too beautiful on medium settings, more or less. They're not used to that, and especially during the planetside Infantry League, people are really complaining about it, about not being able to play it in the usual settings. So that's kind of unfortunate for the final event of the planetside Infantry League. Still, I think in the end DDRG Gaming won, so interesting. But what I heard is that they don't know how to fix the problem right now. They're still looking for the issue.
Huh. Yeah, myself, I like potato settings because there isn't as much, as Smurlog puts it, visual clutter. Like there's too many, you can turn it off or whatever. Like the only thing that really affects cloaking is the setting called graphics settings or graphic options or something. Everything else you can turn down.
There's just a general setting for graphics, quote unquote.
Yeah, whatever that means. Everything else you can turn down, but even still, like at medium, you have bloom, and you have some other just post processing that kind of gets in the way of seeing your silhouettes and stuff. Like,
yeah, especially the super bloom we have right now.
Yes.
Oh yeah. The other day, oh god, the moon was like engulfing an entire part of a base with just light.
Yeah. On ultra settings, the moon is the sun, and the sun has gone supernova.
Yeah, basically.
But yeah, lighting sucks right now. It's too dark or it's too bright.
Yeah. I don't know how they managed that.
It's kind of funny that the nights now in Ultra, they kind of remind me of Release. The nights used to be a lot darker in the game.
Yeah.
And they kind of brightened it up a bit because a lot of people were complaining that certain camos were almost impossible to see. Now it's almost kind of back to that.
I don't mind the dark all that much. I do mind it being too bright. The dark, I think, adds cool atmosphere to higher graphic settings, though of course you're going to be at a disadvantage. But if you don't care about being at an advantage, then higher graphic settings can really improve your gameplay.
It would be nice to see flashlights be important besides finding infiltrators again. But
Yeah.
Are the flashlights fixed from are the headlights fixed from the sundoors and all the vehicles?
Flashlights, no. Vehicles, I don't think so, but I couldn't tell you for certain.
Flashlights still don't work sometimes.
I've been told that the dark light effect is supposed to be working, but I've been having trouble getting it to work for me. So.
I actually never used the flashlight anyway, the dark light for the cloakers. I just prefer to use Commissioner with, for example, the laser sight anyway.
I mean, yeah. Why wouldn't you do that on a Commissioner?
Nah, I keep a dark light on every sidearm I've got because there's always going to be some stalker infiltrator near the point. Matter of fact, I ran into that a week ago. There was actually this Friday with the squid. There's somebody just camping one of the points, and I could not find them.
But as long as they're sitting still and like they crouch, it's anyway. It's hard even without debug.
Yeah, and they got the deep operative implant, I think it's called.
Oh yeah.
That makes them like nearly impossible to see.
Actually, it's kind of interesting. I was playing PlanetSide 1 yesterday and 2 days ago, I don't know. And in PlanetSide 1, they are completely invisible when they're standing still.
Really?
No shimmers, nothing.
Don't they have a lot more restrictions on what they can do then, though?
No.
Yeah.
They can't shoot scores.
How more restrictive can you get? Other than not being able to shoot. Like, can you not sprint in PlanetSide 1 when you're cloaked? Like, that's about.
Can they influence points? Because that's my one stickle. That's my one stickling
that's a
point.
good question. But the thing is, once you hack a certain base, there's no proximity takeover for the points. You have to hack it, and then once you have hacked them, you can stand still, and there's no way you see them.
My understanding for the class system in PlanetSide 1 was that there wasn't really a class system. Like, you could just you could become a heavy, like a quote-unquote heavy assault by just equipping heavy armor or and stuff like that. So could you just be an engineer, essentially an engineer with an infiltrator cloaking device?
I think so.
That's cool.
Yeah, my understanding was that it was the inventory system that limited what you could effectively do. Everything had like a certain size and had to fit in the grid.
But I wouldn't be surprised if you could like wear armor cloak and have like a repair tool.
Yeah, wasn't it engineers in PlanetSide 1 that hacked things, or was it?
You have a hack tool. The
right. Yeah.
I don't know if it also repairs. It could be.
Huh. Such a different game.
Yeah, completely different.
And nobody...
I was playing because I don't know if you guys know this, but PlanetSide, the whole franchise, exists for 16 years, coming weekend. And there's like this big event. If you've never heard of it, there's like this fan-made project, a remake of PlanetSide 1, more or less, with their own servers. And every year they have like this one big event to celebrate more or less the new birthday of PlanetSide. And this year they actually made a lot of progress. They more or less fixed a lot of bugs from PlanetSide 1. And it is very playable right now. And there will be a big event coming Saturday and Sunday. So they expect a lot of players to come back to PlanetSide 1 and have a big fight, because normally it is very, very desolated.
Yeah, nobody plays it really. I should definitely download it though and give it a try for the event though.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to see how it was back in the days. Gives you some perspective of how it is right now and how it could be in the future as well. Because I don't know if you guys have ever heard about caves in PlanetSide 1. Caves, like real big caves. Not the caves they made with the bugs in DirectX 11. Have you, by the way, find the Estimate caves? like the bug
There's-
face.
Yeah, there's
No, I
the pit
haven't.
in Ezimir,
The pits, yeah, the
and
pit, I
there's
mean.
the spire in Indar.
Yeah.
The spire? Oh yeah, well I have to visit that one. Anyway, they were talking about also adding caves in Osha. So
That'd be
knows?
actually really cool. There's a lot of what ifs when it comes to Osher right now. Like, what if they do that? What if they do cool caves and stuff? But praise the spire. I'm just wondering if, because the only thing they've said that they want to do is make the warp gates move in real time, I think. That's all I know about Oshore right now.
I mean, I think drop pods will be a big important part of transportation in Osha.
Well, yeah. I mean, wait, what do you mean by that? Like, in
I mean,
what
I
way?
think right now you just spawn, right? From these, if you how do you say this? I think if the Bastion fleet carriers will be the main way of transportation, these spawn gates or the warp gates, then probably we will be able to drop down with a drop pod.
Oh, that'd be cool. Like, instead of spawning at a base, you launch yourself from the Bastion fleet carrier into the area you want.
Yeah.
Similar to Planetside Arena, almost.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That
Where
would
it's
be
just
cool.
basically a really big, invulnerable galaxy that you just instantly drop out of, I guess. My understanding was that it'd be more like just like an actual mobile platform that you spawn on and can do things from there.
Mm.
Like a actual flying warp gate.
That
Not
could
sure if
also
they
be
can
the
do that
case.
though. Not even
Well-
sure if the game's capable of that. It's hard to tell.
We have seen the inside of the Bastion fleet carriers in Planetside 2, so I think it's possible.
I'm not sure if you're talking about like the starting room in Arena. Is that what you're talking about?
More or less, somebody put up a video like 3 years ago from the Bastion fleet carrier already.
Oh.
So it's already inside the game or something like that, and yeah, it is very similar to what you see in Planetside Arena.
Mm.
6
Well, thinking
FPS flying warp gate, yes.
In Arena, it just seems to be a staging area that doesn't actually have any kind of relation to the play map. I mean, it's like the starting island in Fortnite. I mean, you sit there, and then you like, mess around a bit, and then you kind of poof into the bus on the map
Hmm.
and drop out of there. I mean, you don't get to like walk around inside the bus or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm just wondering if that's going to be the case, if it's just going to be something you poof out of, or if it'll be something you can walk around inside and like change loadout or spawn vehicles from, something like that.
I'm thinking right now because if I'm correct, what happens in Planetside Arena, you start in space and then it like breaches to the
The atmosphere.
atmosphere, yes, and then
Yeah.
you are able to jump out.
Yeah.
It looks just like a transition, though. I mean, you're inside the fleet carrier, but then the doors close, and then next thing you know, you see the fleet carrier in the atmosphere. Like it just jumped to a different map.
Yeah.
Well, the way I think they would, if it's drop pods from the Bastion fleet carriers, as you might be suggesting, I think they shouldn't have any transition between you selecting a destination and then it firing you off, because after hundreds, if not thousands of a transition, you're just gonna be tired of it.
That's true.
Another question is, if all the carrier is a drop pod launcher, where are you getting your vehicles from? Where are you getting aircraft and tanks?
That's a good question. You could fly a galaxy onto the drop pod, and then you can drive vehicles in the galaxy.
More like a real fleet carrier. You just could use the landing pad to take off. I
I
don't
mean, it
know.
would be cool if you could drop pod tanks down. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, like in giant
Ooh.
containers. Yo, instead of orbital strike things, we have little darts that call down tanks, and they just. I mean, how else would they do it?
Yeah, but I think they tried that with the Flash at one point. They ran into some technical problems.
Oh. Well.
I can't remember if that was in
Oh, yeah.
Arena or PlanetSide 2 proper, but at one point they wanted to make it where you could just call down a Flash and have it dropped on your position, but they couldn't work it out.
Yeah, I've seen that. They did test it on the PTS for a while, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Smarlog says it was PlanetSide 2. Just want to be sure I wasn't misremembering it.
I mean, I think the system of PlanetSide Arena is fine by pressing Z and directly having a vehicle. I mean, you can't really abuse it, I think, in PlanetSide 2 because many of the fights are already inside bases anyway.
Like,
But it would.
I mean, you could abuse it if it were press Z and you got a tank.
Yeah, okay, then you would be able to. Yes.
I mean, I do like that the actual spawn point is something you have to fight over too. I mean, somebody can hack it and spawn their own vehicles, and you've got to worry about getting it back.
Yeah, you would miss out of that. But mobility-wise, I think as long as it doesn't really involve tanks, I wouldn't really mind.
An infiltrator cloaks, goes into the middle of a bunch of enemy players, spawns a flash, and just starts running people down.
Okay, I see problems coming up now.
Are you suggesting that cloaked flashes are a problem, sir?
No, whoa. No, I don't want any trouble.
NC tanks then squashing other NC tanks, yes. And other NC players.
Yeah, I would believe it.
Oh, that would. Oh, that would definitely happen a lot.
Actually, what vehicles can be cloaked? Is it
Just-
only the Sunderer and the...
The Sunderer can be cloaked if it is deployed. You also have the Flash and the Ant needs Cordium to maintain the cloak.
Right.
Ah,
I
okay.
forgot about the ant. I always forget about the ant.
Because you can't see it.
It's true.
Maybe a stupid question, but the Wasp, whatever. Would it might be also share like a similar option?
I don't think yet. I think it just has turbo right now.
Only turbo, and that costs calcium.
Yes.
A cloaked air unit would be kind of interesting, depending on what
Yeah.
it could do. Especially if it carries maxes. That'd prove to be interesting.
Oh, that would be dirty. Just cloak dropping off maxes from nothing, from nowhere. I actually see like gameplay potential for this. Well, I think that yeah.
Huh. Yeah, what if... No, that would be way too broken. A cloaked galaxy, just... I mean, for people who are bad at the game like me, a cloaked galaxy would not be overpowered. But...
The thing is, then probably if you're playing with a trained good outfit, they will just keep hovering in the air
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
dropping
you
off
already
more and
have-
more people.
You already have galaxies that just sit at the flight ceiling and drop people directly into the point.
Do you ever
I-
get out of a galaxy and just still take fall damage from that height?
That is a bug, and it does happen on rare occasion. I've had it happen in a Valkyrie too, and they're supposed to have the ejection seat by default.
I've never had that problem. Oh, by the way, guys, for the chat right now, if you have any questions for us, now is the time, by the way.
Smurlog, one time we were chasing an ant in a harasser, and it went behind a piece of cordium. The cordium disappeared, and it was nowhere to be found. Like this ant just was gone. We're like, what? So we started driving towards it, and then out of nowhere, we just blow up, and it rammed us. It just rammed us while it was cloaked. So yeah, on some occasions, better not forget about that ant, because it will come back.
I mean, ants are capable battle bosses anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty tough.
The only thing that I kind of hate is that for new players, they start without any gun.
Mhm.
So if you are just minding your own business, just getting some caution, and you're getting attacked by, I don't know, a Liberator, Valkyrie, whatever, you have no way to fight back.
Yeah.
And that also, for me as a new player, that also is as an extra reason to not invest into nor base building or the end.
Really. Just
Because I
mean,
really feel like I can't do anything about it.
as
I don't know how to
s-
expand.
a solo
I
ant
think
player,
the intent. Yeah, I think the intent was to get you to depend on teammates and armor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They tried that as well with the new event. I still haven't participated. I wanted to, but I was like, never mind. It's a team game after all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some people wish it wasn't a team game, but it is. So, I'm hoping at some point they bring the ant into a place where it powers bases as well. So like mining cordium to power your base defenses and stuff.
That was a big thing in PlanetSide 1, wasn't it?
Yes.
Where you had to keep your bases powered.
Yeah. So you would essentially have people protecting the ants and stuff while other people defended bases, so that the ants could make runs from cordium to bases over and over again, which I think is a neat idea.
This was in Guild Wars 2. I had a similar faction versus faction system. And what it did, had like automatic buffaloes with resources going to bases. And the more resources you had, the more you could upgrade your bases. So better, better turrets, better walls, things like that. Or even if you had a high tier base, you could even get like spawn points in the base.
Huh. And
I think it's also it gives you some more reason to protect like you said, protect ants or protect a certain supply lines.
yeah,
I think that would work better in PlanetSide 2 if the ants that were doing the base powering were automated, because I can't imagine a lot of people wanting to just do the truck run.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah, automated would probably be better. And then, but still be able to be destroyed.
Mm-hmm. And it would like send out a distress call to
Yeah.
like nearby units. They'd have to be tougher than the ants we have now if they were just going to be unmanned and doing nothing but gathering.
Yes.
If you start adding NPCs, though, I think you're going down a slippery slope.
Yeah, I do understand that.
And I mean, NPCs that are just stationary are already hard enough for them to code.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, the turrets.
Yeah.
Will they ever be fixed? That's the question. I mean, for me personally, there's also like a little alarm right now. So if I know somebody's close, they will just start shooting.
Or now, even if they're not close, or if they're behind a wall, or 3 or 5.
Oh,
the thing is, though, I understand the intent there, and I imagine there was a niche that people would want to fill there in PlanetSide 1, but I'm not sure people would come to PlanetSide 2 for that kind of thing. I mean, it's kind of a different audience now.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't mean to insult anybody who plays like more recent games, but there's a lot more soloism, a lot more like single player heroics in games these days. Nobody's going to really want to just buckle down and be the NPC, basically.
I mean, if it's fun, I would.
Yeah, that'd be tough to make that fun, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand
Well,
like Truck Simulator is a
yeah.
thing, but still.
I was just about to mention that. Yeah. People would totally do it. It's just not people who play PlanetSide 2.
I think if the reward is high enough, people will do it.
But what kind of
But then you've got to worry about like people who don't have the certs to put into an ant or something like that. They'd be upset. And yeah, what kind of reward would you throw into that?
Yeah, I think big certs, or maybe even go down the implant system or decals.
You get 2 certs for every base that you like a refill or something. I don't know.
Oof. I don't know how we should balance that. But
Yeah.
I think that is really something they need to think about if they're ever going to make PlanetSide free. I think adding it in this stage of the game would be a waste, more or less.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Start from scratch, new code base, then add it in. Yeah. I agree, but I think that ends our podcast. Essentially, unfortunately, Shades couldn't join us for the entire thing. I guess he had to leave. I haven't checked chat at all, but
Yeah, he did say something came up, so.
okay. Probably important, but that's okay. Thank you for joining us, everybody in chat. Thank you for joining us. Faber, I guess us as in me and you. But thanks for joining us, Wolf.
No problem.
And that will end it for us. You guys have yourselves a great Mother's Day. If it's Mother's Day for you guys. I don't know if every country has Mother's Day.
No offense meant to the differently mothered.
Oh, okay. All right. Peace out, everyone.
See ya.
See you later.